If there's anything board gamers love more than matching colors together to form clusters, then I don't know what it is. Maybe dice rolling? Probably not. Built specifically toward that gamer, which is definitely not me, no sir, is today's review game of Akropolis from designer Jules Messot and publisher Gigamic. Special thanks to Hachette Board Games for providing us with this review copy. If you've played and enjoyed a little board game called Quadropolis, then this is right in your city-state shaped wheelhouse. Let's dig in before the Persians get here. Past our seaside retreat on the cover, we'll find the game's 8-page rulebook, which outlines gameplay perfectly. That set aside, we'll find our 9-compartment insert, which isn't outstanding, but is at least serviceable. If you store your games vertically, as I do, you'll likely open this box to at least a little chaos every time. Tri-hex city tiles are divided neatly for the player counts, and these 4 starting tiles live fairly neatly in that cutout. The stone color wooden cubes add to the overall washed out color of the box, but that's a head fake, as this is a delightfully colorful game on the table. Speaking of which, let's get there now. The goal of the game. 2 to 4 players will be building individual cities, trying to architect individually colored districts, either together or apart depending on their scoring rules. Accumulating these tiles through drafting and overlaying placement will allow you to collect not only those sweet points, but also these stone cubes, which will help you draft exactly the tiles that you want. Expect your first game to take about 45 minutes or so with teaching, and future games should come in at around 30 minutes. We are set up here for our standard 3-player teaching game, using only the tiles denoted as 2 and 3+ on the back. All of those are shuffled around and placed in 11 stacks of 4 tiles each. The remaining unstacked tiles will be the first tiles up for grabs and are offered in the middle of the table. Each player begins with a matching starting tile, and the player who earns the first player marker will take 1 stone cube, with each successive player grabbing 1 more than the previous player in turn order. The chief architect will get first dibs from the construction site, and while at the beginning of the game they can only take one of the first 2 tiles, in future turns you're able to take whichever tile you want, provided you have the stones to pay for the ones further down the line. The first tile is free, but anything deeper costs you 1 stone each. The drafted tile must be immediately added to your city by connecting it on at least 1 edge, or later on by covering up your existing tiles. There are rules to this covering, however. You can't just go full Pompeii. If you choose to add a tile in the direction of Babel, you must cover 3 hexes. You can't have placed a tile with nothing underneath 1 hex. Also, you can't completely overwrite a previous tile. You have to cover up some part of at least 2 previous tiles. But why, Nicholas, would I want to cover up my scoring ability? My answer is, Socratically, don't you want to maximize your potential? First of all, covering up quarries is the only way to earn more stone cubes, and you really want these cubes. Also, it's unlikely you're going to get exactly the tiles you want every time, so covering some up allows you to craft and recraft the perfect living situation for your citizens. And what are those living situations? Primarily, you'll find housing. The blue districts score points for the largest single cluster in your city. Your citizens really like each other, and they all want to live together. No gentrification here. Markets in yellow don't love competition, so you'll score points for those that are not boarded by one another. Barracks are red, and where your soldiers live and train. They're most efficient when they can easily mobilize to defend your polis, so you'll want these on the outside edge of your city. Purple temples want to be where the action is, the opposite of barracks, so these score only if they're completely surrounded by hexes. Finally, we have gardens in green, and these are the most forgiving tiles, as gardens are always nice to have, and so will score no matter where they are. Two things to note about scoring before we move on. The first is that points are increased by the level that the individual hexes are on. So, if your largest collection of blue hexes is all on the table level, then they're worth 1 point each. However, if you can manage to get a couple up a level, that is an illegal play. This is better. They are worth 2 points each. 3 points if you can get them up 2 levels, and so on for each of the districts. Secondly, the sum of all your individual points in a district is multiplied by how many stars you have in the color-matched plaza. So, if you have 6 green garden hexes scattered around your polis, but never manage to find a green plaza, you'll get all those points multiplied by 0. And if I'm remembering Mrs. Houck's 3rd grade math correctly, that's 0. Nothing, nada. Prioritize plazas when you see them and don't cover them up. Draft tiles in player order until there is only 1 left. When that happens, move that final tile to the front of the line, grab a face-down stack of tiles from the 11 you started with, and add them to the row. Pass the Chief Architect token to the next player, and continue drafting with that player until there's only 1 tile left in the game, and then do not draft that tile. Poor little friend. Point salad games are my best friend's favorite kind of games, and in my testing, Akropolis ended every time with close scores and everyone at the table saying, "That was fun, I'd for sure play that again." But a couple weeks later, no one's asking for it. I'll bring it out in the stack of that night's menu and everyone says, "Oh, that game's fun," but we end up picking something else. What's going on here? Akropolis combines point salad, tile drafting, and stacking organization with easy-to-learn rules and a really bright table presence. Here's what I think. It's a jack-of-all-trades game. Akropolis, while on your table, is a perfectly enjoyable 45 minutes, and when you're done and it's put away, you're left with a pleasant, "I just played a game" feeling. What isn't here is anything spectacular or long-term memorable. No one's going to be talking weeks later about that one play that changed the game state. There isn't a wow factor component or mechanic. It's a standard board game that no one hates. You know it's going to be enjoyable when you get it to your table, and everyone's going to stay competitive throughout. If that's what you're after for your shelf, then Akropolis is going to fit that niche very well. For me, after a half dozen plays or so and a month on my review shelf, I don't know if this one's going to make the move down onto my rotation. I'm absolutely flummoxed by this because, as I've said, it's a fun game. It works. It's eminently teachable and everyone likes it. What's wrong with it? The answer is quite literally nothing. Akropolis is the perfect game to buy your new into gaming friends, and they'll learn about new game mechanics and have a great time doing it. But will they remember it? Akropolis sits in the hex-shaped hole for your next game night when you want something more than a filler, but still in that time box. Let's go through our checklist before I give you my final thoughts. In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. Akropolis's rulebook is outstanding and fits everything needed perfectly in its succinct 8 pages. There are perfectly crafted examples throughout, and even a page of variants for when your games need a little spice. The rulebook uses second-person you and yours pronouns throughout. Iconography clear. There's no iconography in-game, only the colors of the individual districts and plazas. Colorblind players are given assistance by being able to match the distinct architecture in each of the colored districts to each other, so it's very accessible to those gamers. Packaging well done. Nah. The intention of the gridded box insert is appreciated, but my game arrived already bent on the inside. Also, as I store my games vertically, there isn't anything to keep the individual tiles in their spaces. Still, this isn't as tragic as it would be in some games, as you're more than likely taking most of them out of the box for play anyway. On the table. Good representation. While there are people on the tiles you'll be placing down, they're so far away that they become tiny dots. The cover features a Grecian polis scape populated by region-appropriate men and women. Component quality, medium. The box insert I've already covered, and the individual tiles are thicker than average cardboard punch. The wooden stone cubes are likewise standard board gaming cubes, and the player aids are just fine cardstock that you likely won't need much past your first few plays. Replay value, medium. There's very little deep strategy here, as that's not the kind of game being presented. Still, the core gameplay is solid enough, and for the right kind of gamer, it's the type of game that relies more on the diversity of strategy between the players and less about the complexity of gameplay. Fun to lose. Yes, with plazas being incredibly valuable to the right players, there's plenty of potential to bend the game in the last few rounds of drafting. Our games during testing have been very close throughout, even with diversity of experience at the table. I believe that if you have the players who can grasp the basic concept of put like things together, then anyone can sit down and put up a good fight right away. While I really liked Akropolis for what it was, it definitely fits a window of gameplay. If I have the time for a longer game, I'd personally rather play Quadropolis, but Akropolis serves as an entry point into that game and can be played much faster and with less overall frustration. It's a rare game that can be played quickly and is also fun the entire time, and Akropolis certainly fits that bill. As always, I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population. Always sleeve your cards. Hey everyone, if you liked our video, please hit that sub button and ring the bell for notifications. Check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com, and please consider becoming a patron of the channel over at patreon.com/GLHFmagic. It helps us keep making videos, reviews, and podcasts. You can become a member for any dollar amount. We're also always looking for new games to review. You can reach me at glhfnicholas@gmail.com. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, at CaptainNGM on Twitter and Instagram, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck. High five.